On Father's Day, my daughter Olivia presented me with a pair of socks that cost 15 ohm, her smile radiating as if it were the most precious gift in the world. On that very day, I noticed a $10,000 Rolex adorning her father-in-law's wrist, purchased with my funds, which she deemed an essential expenditure. Following that, she reached out to me 17 times, pleading, "Daddy, please don't go through with this." Yet it was already too late. I found myself on a journey where regret had no place. Before we move forward, we kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and share your location in the comments below. The sunlight streamed through the living room windows, casting warm golden hues over the well-loved couch where I waited for Olivia. My daughter had vowed to create a Father's Day surprise, and even with the weight of past disappointments, a glimmer of hope ignited within me. The clock on the mantel ticked steadily each second, a poignant reminder of the years I had devoted to her, 2 decades, since her mother had passed every sacrifice woven into the very fabric of my being. The room carried a subtle scent of lemon polish, a ritual I maintained in memory of my late wife. Yet it was the family photos on the shelf that truly grounded me, Olivia. As a gap-toothed child, my proud smile beside her at her graduation moments captured of us together, always us. The doorbell rang, and a wave of excitement washed over me. I opened the door to discover Olivia standing there, her auburn hair elegantly pulled into a sleek bun, her designer coat strikingly polished for our humble Chicago suburb. She clutched a modest gift bag, the tissue paper wrinkled, as if it had been tossed in without much care. Her husband Liam stood behind her, his smirk as refined as his loafers. "Wishing you a wonderful Father's Day, Dad." Olivia spoke, her tone honeyed, yet laced with an undercurrent of steel reminiscent of a delicate facade hiding a fierce truth. She shoved the bag into my hands, her smile strained, like she was caught in a moment she wished to escape. I managed a smile, my fingertips grazing the coarse paper. "Thank you, darling." The bag seemed almost weightless, lacking any real substance. I settled into the couch, feeling their gazes upon me. Olivia's filled with anticipation, while Liam's held a hint of amusement. The clock's ticking grew more pronounced, or perhaps it was merely the sound of my racing heart. I retrieved a pair of navy socks, the sort you might discover in a bargain bin, for $15. The price tag hung there, a silent challenge swaying gently, as if to mock. My heart raced, yet I maintained an expression of calm. I held up the socks, my voice firm as I stated the obvious. "Realistic. I've always envisioned these." Olivia's laugh was delicate, almost fragile. "Precisely. Isn't that something valuable? It's not as if you require anything extravagant." Her perfectly polished nails shimmered as she casually adjusted her scarf, a seemingly simple action that spoke volumes about the distance that lay between us. Liam let out a soft laugh, resting casually against the doorframe. "Indeed, Paul, you have a straightforward nature. Simplicity is all that is required." His tone was laced with superiority, and I sensed the space around me constrict, the atmosphere heavy with their collective arrogance. I nodded, folding the socks with a meticulousness that felt foreign to me. "Thank you so much, both of you." My voice remained calm, yet my hands quivered just enough to reveal the turmoil within. I caught a glimpse of the picture of my beloved wife Ellen, her gentle gaze lingering from the frame. Had I let her down, bringing up a daughter who regarded me as a duty? The thought pierced through me, yet I forced it away. "Are you going to stick around for some coffee?" I inquired, fully aware of what the response would be. "Oh, we have some exciting plans," Olivia remarked, glancing at her phone. "Evening meal with William, the father of Liam. He just can't help himself, always playing the gracious host." She shared a fleeting look with Liam, a spark of an emotion I couldn't quite identify. Perhaps it was secrecy or even a hint of triumph. My stomach churned, yet I allowed it to fade away. They rushed out the door in mere moments, leaving the house enveloped in an unsettling silence, the clocks ticking, like a relentless hammer against my skull. I took the socks to the kitchen, feeling an urge to be active, to take action. The gift bag caught on the edge of the counter, the tissue ripping apart like a fragile vow. I placed the socks aside and grasped a mug, my hands trembling slightly. In that moment, the realization struck me: Olivia's college tuition, a staggering $40,000 each year, funded by sacrificing my dream of a boat and a peaceful retirement on the water. I convinced myself it was meaningful, that she would embody the love of our family for the future. The mug slipped from my fingers, crashing to the tile floor in a cascade of shards. I gazed at the fragments, sharp and beyond repair, my breath uneven. Was it all in vain? I gathered the fragments, every stroke of the broom deepening the pain within me. Olivia's voice lingered in my thoughts, a whisper of something significant. "Isn't that so?" And I found myself questioning the moment she ceased to view me as her father and began to perceive me merely as a tool for her own purposes. The aroma of coffee filled the kitchen, rich and robust. I lingered at the table, the socks taunting me from the counter. My laptop sat open, a remnant of countless hours spent sifting through work emails, yet today I found myself drawn to social media, craving a momentary escape. That was the moment I noticed it. A snapshot shared just an hour ago by Olivia. William Liam's father sat at the restaurant table with a broad smile, his wrist showcasing a shiny Rolex that exuded wealth. Her caption expressed heartfelt appreciation, celebrating a father-in-law whose elegance deserves a gift that reflects his distinguished nature. A chill coursed through me. I focused on the image, bringing it closer into view. The watch's face shimmered beneath the restaurant lights, undeniably captivating. I recalled her call from 2 months back, her voice quivering. "Father, I need $10,000. It's essential, especially when it comes to health matters." I transferred the funds that very day without a hint of hesitation. My hands trembled as I gazed at the screen. The socks were left behind, the clock continued its relentless ticking, and within me a subtle shift occurred, not with a bang, but softly, like a lock finding its home. Olivia had reached out to me 17 times that day, her voice filled with urgency. "Daddy, please don't go through with this." Yet she remained unaware that I had embarked on a journey where regret had no place. The kitchen was now shrouded in dimness, the afternoon light suffocated by the encroaching clouds. The shattered pieces of the mug rested in the garbage, yet the sting of betrayal remained more intense than the coffee growing cold in my cup. The laptop screen illuminated the room while the gleam of William's Rolex seared into my vision. I leaned closer once more, hoping the pixels would uncover a flaw, a reason behind it all. Olivia's caption ridiculed me, "a present that perfectly aligns with your sophistication." My fingers lingered above the keyboard, quivering with an intensity I hadn't experienced in ages. $10,000. My funds deemed essential, now sparkling on her father-in-law's wrist, while I clutched $15 socks. I closed the laptop with a decisive snap, the noise cutting through the stillness of the kitchen. The clock in the living room ticked on, unyielding each second, a poignant reminder of the years I had devoted to her, every late shift, every dream put on hold. I rose from my seat, the chair making a harsh sound against the tile, and reached for my jacket. I craved fresh air, a moment to breathe, anything to soothe the anger that was gnawing at my heart. The socks lingered on the counter, their price tag a quiet reminder of choices unmade. In the Chicago suburb, the scene was one of pristine lawns and vibrant azaleas, a picture of tranquility that concealed the decay lurking underneath. The sky hung low, thick with the promise of rain, while the scent of wet grass lingered in the air. I hurried toward the park, my pace brisk, as though I could escape the haunting memory of that watch. My phone vibrated in my pocket. Olivia once more, her 17th call of the day. I brushed it aside, the gentle buzz against my thigh, a soft reminder of my heartbeat. "Daddy, please don't do this," she had begged earlier, But what did she expect me to do? Let go of the past and embrace understanding. Act as if I was unaware. The park held a serene stillness, with the swings gently moving back and forth in the soft breeze. I paused at the familiar wooden bench, a place where I once pushed Olivia on the swings, her joyful laughter echoing around me. A memory emerged unexpectedly of her at 6 pigtails dancing, vowing she'd forever be your little girl. I had faith in her at that moment, in the connection we had forged, following Ellen's passing. At that moment, the promise seemed nothing more than a deception as empty as the gift bag she had given me. I sat quietly, the bench groaning softly beneath me, my gaze fixed on the vacant swing, swaying gently in the breeze. The watch gleamed in my thoughts, a challenge I couldn't ignore. "Thank you, Paul." A voice interrupted my reflections. Carl, my neighbor, was jogging past with his cheerful spaniel in tow. His round face glowed with warmth, exuding the same friendliness as ever. I mustered a smile, rising to greet him. He pulled back on the leash, surprise flickering in his eyes as he spotted her. "Didn't expect to see you out here," he remarked. "Thought you'd be celebrating with Olivia." "Celebrating's done," I said, my voice flatter than I meant. Carl tilted his head, curious, but I waved it off. "Just needed a walk." He nodded, scratching his dog's ears. "Saw your girl downtown last month, you know, at that fancy jewelry store on Oak Street. Looked like she was picking out something big." He chuckled, oblivious to the bomb he'd just dropped. "Guess she's got expensive taste, huh?" My throat tightened. "Yeah, I managed. She does." The park spun slightly, the swing's chains blurring. Oak Street, the jewelry store, the Rolex. Carl kept talking something about the weather, but I barely heard him. My mind raced, piecing it together. Olivia not at a doctor's office, but in a glittering store, spending my money on a watch for William. The betrayal sank deeper, a blade twisting in my gut. "Gotta get home before the rain," Carl said, jogging off with a wave. I stood frozen, the first raindrops speckling my jacket. The park felt smaller, the swing a relic of a life that no longer existed. I walked back, my steps heavier now, the anger hardening into something colder, more focused. Olivia had lied, and Liam had laughed, and I'd been the fool who trusted them. Back in the kitchen, the socks were still there, a pathetic contrast to the Rolex's gleam. I opened my laptop again, the photo still on the screen. My hands were steady now, the trembling gone. I typed Oak Street Jewelry Store into the search bar, my jaw tight. The clock ticked, but it wasn't just time slipping away, it was the illusion of my daughter. I clicked on the store's website, a plan forming sharp and unyielding. I needed to know if that watch was real, if her betrayal was as brazen as it seemed. The rain tapped the window, steady as a heartbeat, and I knew there was no going back. The rain drummed on my windshield as I pulled into the lot near Oak Street, the wiper's rhythmic swish, the only sound in the car. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles pale, a folded printout of William's Rolex photo tucked in my jacket pocket. Yesterday's shock had hardened overnight into a cold, relentless need to know. The Chicago skyline loomed through the drizzle, its steel and glass indifferent to the storm brewing inside me. I stepped out, the air sharp with the scent of wet pavement and expensive perfume wafting from the boutiques. The jewelry store's sign glowed ahead, a beacon of truth or damnation. Inside the store was a world apart from my modest home, polished marble floors, chandeliers casting prisms on glass cases, the air heavy with wealth. A young clerk in a tailored suit approached her, smile practiced. "Welcome, sir. Looking for something special?" Her voice was smooth, but I caught the quick glance at my rumpled jacket, my scuffed shoes. I didn't belong here, and she knew it. Neither did Olivia, but she'd walked these floors spending my money. "I need information," I said, pulling out the printout. My voice was steady, though my heart pounded. "This watch. Was it purchased here? I unfolded the paper, the Rolex's image stark against the white background. The clerk's eyes flickered with recognition, and my stomach churned. She hesitated, glancing toward a man at the back, older, balding, clearly the manager. "Let me check with our jeweler," she said, taking the printout and disappearing behind a velvet curtain. I stood, the store's silence pressing against me, broken only by the faint tick of a display clock. That sound again, time always slipping, always mocking. I thought of Olivia's call last night, her voice shrill through the voicemail. "Daddy, please just talk to me." I hadn't answered. "Not yet." The manager emerged, holding the printout. "I'm Mr. Kessler," he said, his tone professional but cautious. "This is a Rolex Daytona, yes. We sold one like it in March." He handed the paper back, his eyes studying me. "May I ask why you're inquiring?" My throat tightened, but I kept my gaze level. "It was a gift. I need to confirm it was purchased here." "And who bought it?" I slid my credit card statement across the counter, the $10,000 charge circled in red. My hand didn't shake, though. Inside I was unraveling. "This is my account." "Was it used for the purchase?" Kessler's face softened, a flicker of understanding. He tapped at a tablet, then nodded. "The transaction matches. Paid in full, March 15. A young woman made the purchase, accompanied by a man. She said it was for a family member." His words landed like a punch, each one confirming what I'd dreaded. "Olivia. Liam. My money." "Was the watch real?" I asked, my voice low, almost a growl. Kessler raised an eyebrow, but he answered, "Absolutely. We don't deal in counterfeits. That piece was $200 with tax." He paused, sensing my tension. "Is there a problem, sir?" I forced a tight smile. "No problem. Just needed to know." I took the printout and statement, folding them carefully, as if they were evidence in a trial. The store's lights felt too bright now, the air too thick. I thanked Kessler and stepped back into the rain, my shoes splashing in shallow puddles. The truth was mine, and it was worse than I'd imagined. In my car, I sat, the printout crumpled in my fist. The rain blurred the windshield, and I saw Olivia's face in my mind, not the woman who'd lied, but the girl who'd cried when I bandaged her scraped knee. A memory surfaced 2 months ago, her voice soft, desperate. "It's for medical bills, Daddy." I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. I'd believed her wired the money, felt like a good father. Now I felt like a fool. I glanced at my reflection in the rearview mirror, gray hair, tired eyes, but a hardness I hadn't seen before. The man staring back wasn't the Paul who'd accepted socks with a smile. He was someone new. Someone done being played. My phone sat on the passenger seat, Olivia's missed calls piling up. 17 yesterday, 3 more today. She knew I'd seen the photo. She knew I was asking questions. My fingers hovered over her name, the screen glowing in the dim car. The rain pounded harder, a drum roll for the confrontation to come. I pressed call, my jaw tight, and waited as it rang. Whatever she said next, it wouldn't change the truth. The clock in my mind ticked louder, counting down to something inevitable. The rain hammered the roof of my car, a relentless drumbeat that matched the pulse in my temples. I sat parked outside my house, the Chicago suburb cloaked in evening's gloom, my phone glowing in my hand like a weapon. The printout of William's Rolex lay crumpled on the passenger seat, its edges curling like a guilty secret. My thumb hovered over Olivia's name, her missed calls 20 now, stacking up like accusations. The truth I'd uncovered in the jewelry store burned in my chest, $10,000. My money spent on a watch for a father-in-law while I got socks. I pressed call, my jaw tight, the rain blurring the world outside. The line clicked, and Olivia's voice burst through, sharp and impatient. "Daddy, finally. Why haven't you answered?" Her tone was a mix of relief and irritation, as if I were the one who owed her something. I gripped the steering wheel, the leather slick under my palm, and took a slow breath. "I've been busy," I said, my voice low, deliberate. Had to check on something, like a $10,000 Rolex. The words landed like stones, and for a moment, there was silence, just the rain's steady roar. I could almost see her pacing her pristine living room, her manicured nails tapping her phone. "What are you talking about?" she snapped, but there was a tremor in her voice, a crack in her armor. "You're being ridiculous." "Am I?" I leaned forward, my eyes on the windshield, where rain streaked like tears I refused to shed. "I went to the store, Olivia, Oak Street. They confirmed it. You used my card. For William." My voice stayed even, but each word carried the weight of betrayal. The clock in my mind ticked relentless, counting the seconds of her hesitation. She laughed, a brittle, forced sound. "God, you always make a mountain out of nothing. It was a gift, okay? William's done so much for us. You wouldn't understand." Her condescension stung, but it was the panic beneath it that caught my attention. She was scrambling. "A gift," I repeated, my tone flat. "With my money. You told me it was for medical bills. Vital, you said." My free hand clenched into a fist, nails biting my palm. "What else have you lied about?" "This isn't your business," she shot back, her voice rising shrill now. "You don't get to control what I do. I'm not a kid anymore, Daddy." The word daddy was a mockery thrown like a dart. I remembered her at 16 begging for a designer dress, promising she'd make me proud. I'd believed her then. Not now. "Then act like an adult," I said, my voice cold. "Explain it, now." The rain intensified, a curtain sealing me in this moment, this reckoning. Olivia's breathing was audible, quick and uneven, and I knew she was cornered. "You're so petty," she spat. "I don't have time for this." The line went dead, the silence louder than the storm. I stared at the phone, her words echoing, "Petty, ridiculous, not your business." My chest ached, but it wasn't just pain anymore. It was resolve, hard and unyielding. I stepped out of the car, the rain soaking my jacket, my hair. The cold shocked my skin, but it cleared my head. I opened my phone's notes app, my fingers wet, and typed her words, each one a brick in the case I was building. "Not your business." Petty. The street was empty, the houses glowing with warmth I no longer felt. Olivia thought she could dismiss me, but she'd miscalculated. I wasn't the pushover she assumed. I leaned against the car, the rain pooling at my feet, and remembered Ellen's voice, soft but firm. "Don't let anyone walk over you, Paul." I'd failed that promise for too long, but not anymore. My phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Thompson. I'm Elaine Carter, attorney. Heard you might need help. Meet me tomorrow, 9 a.m. 200. LaSalle. I stared at the message, the rain blurring the screen. An attorney. A stranger offering a lifeline. My thumb hovered over reply, the clock in my mind ticking towards something new. The morning sun sliced through the blinds of Elaine Carter's office, casting stripes across a desk buried in papers and coffee mugs. The air smelled of stale espresso and old books, a cluttered contrast to the sleek Chicago high-rise outside. I sat across from Elaine, my bank statement spread before me like a map of my mistakes. The weight of last night's call with Olivia lingered, her venom. "You're so petty," still stinging. But here in this chaotic office, I felt a flicker of something new possibility. The clock on the wall ticked, its hands slow but steady, a reminder that time wasn't done with me yet. Elaine leaned back in her chair, her gray blazer slightly wrinkled, her eyes sharp, despite the laugh lines framing them. So she said, tapping a pen against her desk, "Your daughter's got a taste for Rolexes and a talent for lying. That about sum it up." Her voice was direct, laced with a dry humor that caught me off guard. I nodded, managing a tight smile. "Pretty much," I said, my fingers brushing the edge of a statement. The $10,000 charge glared up at me, a wound in black ink. She used my card, lied about it. And those socks, I trailed off, the memory of Olivia's smug smile twisting my gut. Elaine snorted. "Socks for Father's Day. Kid's got nerve." She leaned forward, scanning the documents. But nerve doesn't pay for watches. Let's talk options. You want to protect what's yours, right? Her question was blunt, but her tone held a warmth that made me trust her, or at least want to. I shifted in my seat, the chair creaking. I do, but I don't know where to start. She's my daughter. The words felt heavy, a confession of my weakness. I'd spent 20 years building a life for Olivia. After Ellen died. Every choice was for her. No trips to Europe, no hobbies, just her college, her wedding, her future. And now this. Elaine's expression softened, but her voice stayed firm. You're not the first parent she's burned, Paul. Won't be the last unless you act. She slid a contract toward me. I can help. Start with freezing her access to your accounts. Then we see what else she's been up to. Her confidence was infectious, a lifeline I hadn't expected. I picked up the contract, the paper cool against my fingers. A memory surfaced: Olivia's wedding. Her radiant smile as I handed over the check for the venue, my dream of an Italian vacation fading with it. I told myself it was worth it, that she'd carry our family's love. Now I saw only her hand on my card, her lies piling up. I signed the contract, my pen steady, a quiet vow to myself. Elaine nodded, stacking the papers. Good. We'll start with your bank. I'll need details, every transaction she's touched. She paused, her eyes meeting mine. You sure about this? It's not just money. It's family. I stood, walking to the window. Chicago sprawled below, its pulse relentless. I've given her everything, I said, my voice low. Time I took something back. The words felt foreign but right. The clock ticked behind me, its rhythm a call to action, not regret. We talked details, accounts, timelines, legal steps. Elaine's humor broke the tension, her quip about teaching Olivia the value of $1, drawing a rail laugh from me. I left her office lighter, the sun warm on my face as I stepped onto LaSalle Street. For the first time in days, I felt like I was moving forward, not just reacting. In my car, I checked my phone, habit more than need. A bank alert popped up, a new transaction, $500 attempted on my card. Olivia's name was tied to it, another bold grab. My jaw tightened, but I wasn't surprised. The clock in my mind ticked louder, urging me on. Whatever she was buying, she'd find out soon enough that my generosity had limits. The bank's marble floor gleamed under fluorescent lights, its chill seeping through my shoes as I stood at the counter. The air hummed with the low drone of an air conditioner, sharp against the warmth of the May afternoon outside. In my hand, a form to block Olivia's access to my credit card, its lines stark and final. My pen hovered, the weight of 20 years, her laughter, her tears, my sacrifices pressing against the decision. But the Rolex's glint, her sneering, "You're so petty," drowned it all out. I signed the scratch of ink, a small defiant act. The clock in my mind ticked steady, urging me forward. The manager, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses, reviewed the form. "This will take effect immediately," he said, his voice clipped, professional. "The card's secondary user, Olivia Thompson, will be notified." He glanced at me as if expecting hesitation. I nodded, my face blank but my pulse racing. Notification. She'd know soon enough. "Appreciate it," I said, sliding the form back. My hands were steady, but inside triumph warred with a quiet ache. Blocking her card wasn't just about money. It was about reclaiming the dignity she trampled. I left the bank, the glass doors hissing shut behind me, and stepped into the Chicago suburbs' glare, the sun bouncing off parked cars. I drove to a nearby cafe to meet Elaine, the place buzzing with lunchtime chatter. The smell of fresh coffee grounded me as I slid into a booth across from her. She was already there, her laptop open, a half-eaten scone on a plate. "Well," she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Did you pull the plug, signed and done?" I said, a faint smile tugging at my lips. "She's cut off." The words felt good, solid, like a door locking shut. Elaine grinned, leaning back. "Bet she'll love that more than those socks you got." Her humor was sharp, but her eyes held a quiet respect. Your daughter's about to learn what a practical gift really means. She tapped her laptop. I'm pulling records. Might find more of her shopping sprees. You ready for what we uncover? I nodded, sipping my coffee. Its bitterness a match for my mood. I need to know everything. A memory flickered Olivia's wedding, her hand on my arm as I gave her access to my card, saying it'd help her start strong. I trusted her, thought it was love. Now I saw only her greed. The cafe's clock hung on the wall, its hands frozen at 11:43. A silent witness to my shift. Time wasn't slipping away anymore. I was stopping it, taking control. Elaine outlined next steps, tracking Olivia's spending, building a case. Her confidence steadied me, our alliance a bridge from the man I'd been to the one I was becoming. You're doing this for you, Paul, she said, her voice softer now, not just to punish her. Remember that. I met her gaze, seeing not just an attorney, but a friend, someone who saw my worth when I'd forgotten it. My phone buzzed, shattering the moment. Olivia's name flashed on the screen, her call urgent, angry. I let it ring, the sound swallowed by the cafe's hum. When it stopped, a voicemail popped up, her voice spilling out as I pressed play. Daddy, what the hell did you do? My cards declined. Fix this now. Her fury was raw, unfiltered, a crack in her polished facade. I set the phone down, my coffee cup warm in my hands. Elaine raised an eyebrow, but I just smiled. Thin and resolute. The clock in my mind ticked on counting down to her next move and mine. The living room was dim, the last of the May twilight, seeping through the curtains, casting long shadows across the faded rug. I sat on the couch, the same one where I'd unwrapped Amelia's socks days ago, the memory now a bitter stain. My phone lay on the coffee table, its screen flashing with her name, 17 calls in the past hour, each one a jab at my resolve. The old clock on the mantel stopped years ago, stared silently, its frozen hands a mirror to my decision to halt her manipulations. Family photos lined the shelf, Amelia at 5, her pigtails bouncing at 16, her graduation cap tilted. Those moments felt like another life, one where I wasn't the enemy. The phone buzzed again, insistent, her name pulsing like a warning. I let it ring, my fingers tracing the edge of a photo frame, Ellen and Amelia laughing in a park. The vibrations stopped, then started anew, a voicemail this time. I pressed play, bracing myself. Amelia's voice erupted, shrill and jagged. Daddy, what the hell? My cards declined. Fix this or I swear we're done. Her words were a blade slicing through the quiet. Done. As if I were the one who'd lied, who'd spent $10,000 on a Rolex for William while handing me $15 socks. I stood needing to move and walked to the kitchen. The air smelled faintly of lemon polish, a habit I'd kept for Ellen. My hands shook as I filled the kettle, but my mind was steady, hardened by her betrayal. Another call came, and this time I answered, my voice cold. Amelia, stop calling. Stop calling. She snapped, her tone a mix of disbelief and fury. You cut me off, Daddy. How am I supposed to live? You're being selfish. Her accusation landed like a slap, but I didn't flinch. Selfish. After years of giving her college, her wedding, her lies. Selfish, I said, my voice low, controlled. You used my money for a watch. For William. You lied about medical bills. Explain that. The kettle hissed steam, curling like my anger. Silence stretched on her end, broken only by her sharp breaths. It's not what you think, she said, finally, her voice softer, manipulative. William's important to us. You wouldn't get it. Just fix the card, please. The please was calculated, a child's plea from a woman who'd outgrown it. No, I said the word final. You made your choices. Live with them. I ended the call, my heart pounding, but my resolve intact. The phone buzzed again, another voicemail. You'll regret this, she hissed. Liam won't let this slide. Liam. Her spineless husband, always in her shadow, now a threat. What were they planning? I set the phone down. Its screen dark now and touched the stopped clock, its brass cool under my fingers. A memory surfaced: Amelia at 10 running to me after a fight with friends, her tears soaking my shirt. I'd been her safe place then. Now I was her obstacle. The kettle whistled shrill as her voice and I poured tea, the steam clouding my view of her photo. She wasn't that girl anymore, and I wasn't the father who'd forgive endlessly. My phone lit up again, not Amelia this time, but a text from Elaine Police Station tomorrow, 8 a.m. Amelia and Liam filed a complaint. I've got your back. My stomach dropped. A complaint. The room felt smaller, the shadows deeper. The clock's silence mocked me, but I straightened my tea untouched. Whatever Amelia was throwing at me, I'd face it. The fight was just beginning. The police station smelled of burnt coffee and ink, its fluorescent lights buzzing like a trapped insect. I sat in a cramped office, the chair hard against my back, a manila folder open on the desk before me. Officer Daniels, a burly man with a skeptical frown, flipped through Amelia's complaint, his eyes flicking to me as if I were the criminal. Elaine sat beside me, her blazer sharp, her presence a shield. Outside, Chicago's morning was gray clouds pressing low, mirroring the weight in my chest. Amelia and Liam had struck back, accusing me of financial abuse for cutting off their access to my money. The audacity burned, but Elaine's steady gaze kept me grounded. Daniels cleared his throat, his voice gruff. Mr. Thompson, your daughter and son-in-law claim you've restricted their access to family funds, causing them hardship. Care to explain? His tone suggested I was already guilty, and my hands tightened around the pen I held, its plastic edges biting my palm. Family funds. I said, my voice even but edged. It's my money. They spent $10,000 of it on a watch for someone else. I blocked their access to stop the theft. The word theft hung in the air, heavy true. Daniels raised an eyebrow, scribbling a note. Elaine leaned forward, her voice crisp, commanding. Officer, my client has every right to protect his assets. His daughter Amelia misrepresented expenses, using his card for unauthorized purchases. We have bank statements, receipts, and a jeweler's confirmation. She slid a folder across the desk, her movements precise. This isn't abuse. It's self-defense. Daniels scanned the documents, his frown deepening. This says the purchase was for a Rolex. You're saying she lied about the purpose? His skepticism shifted, now aimed at Amelia's story, and I felt a spark of hope. Exactly, I said, meeting his gaze. She told me it was for medical bills. It wasn't. A memory flashed: Liam at my house years ago, promising to take care of Amelia, his smile too slick. Now he'd co-signed this complaint, his name scrawled beside hers, a coward hiding behind her venom. Elaine's hand brushed my arm, a subtle signal to stay calm. Officer, she continued, this complaint is retaliatory. Mr. Thompson acted within his rights. If anything, we're considering charges for fraud. Her tone was steel, and Daniels leaned back, reassessing. We'll review this, he said, closing the folder. But I'll need statements from both parties. He stood, signaling the end, and I felt the room expand, the pressure easing slightly. Elaine gathered her papers, her confidence unshaken. In her car, the air was warmer, the scent of leather and mint gum, a relief from the station's staleness. Elaine started the engine, her modern wristwatch glinting, a contrast to my old stopped one, a sign of the new path I was on. They're desperate, she said, glancing at me. Filing a complaint. That's a weak move. We've got them on the ropes. I nodded, staring out at the cloudy city. Liam's name on that complaint didn't expect him to step up. My voice was quiet, but the betrayal stung. He'd always been Amelia's shadow, content to let her scheme. Now he was in the fight. He's scared, Elaine said, a smirk tugging her lips. They both are. But we're not done. Ever thought about your will, Paul? Might be time to rewrite some things. Her words landed softly, but they carried weight, a seed of a plan. I pulled out my notebook, its pages already filled with Amelia's lies, and jotted down will. The pen felt heavy, each stroke a step towards something final. The city blurred past, and I wondered how far Amelia would go to keep her grip on me. Elaine's watch ticked faintly, a reminder that time was mine to reclaim. The notary's office was a pocket of calm in Chicago's midday bustle, its air thick with the scent of aged paper and polished wood. I sat at a heavy oak table, a stack of documents before me, each page a brick in the wall I was building against Amelia's greed. Elaine stood nearby, checking clauses with a practiced eye, her presence steadying me. The spring sun filtered through tall windows, warming the room, but my hands were cold as I gripped the pen. Rewriting my will, cutting Amelia out, was a knife to my heart, but also a key to my freedom. The clock in my mind ticked, no longer mocking, but urging me on. The notary, a soft-spoken woman with silver hair, adjusted her glasses. "Mr. Thompson, this new will designates your estate to a trust with Miss Carter as executor. Is that correct?" Her voice was gentle, but the question carried the weight of finality. I nodded, my throat tight. "That's right," I said, my voice steady despite the ache. "No direct beneficiaries." The words felt like a betrayal of the promises I'd made to Ellen, to Amelia, securing her future, keeping our family whole. But Amelia had shattered that, her $10,000 lie, a fracture I couldn't mend. Elaine caught my eye, her smile small but encouraging. "You're doing the right thing, Paul. This cuts off their dreams of your money. Clean break." Her tone was light, but her words grounded me. "Plus, I'm a damn good executor," she added, winking, and I chuckled, the tension easing for a moment. I signed the first page, the pen scratch loud in the quiet room. A memory surfaced, drafting my original will after Ellen's death. Amelia just 12, her future, my only focus. I'd sat up nights planning to give her everything: security, love, a legacy. Now I was erasing her name, each signature a severance. The notary stamped the pages, her movements precise, and I felt a strange relief, like shedding a weight I'd carried too long. "All done," the notary said, sliding the documents into a folder. "Copies will be filed by end of day." I thanked her, my voice distant, and followed Elaine out into the spring air. The city hummed, vibrant, alive, and I felt a flicker of that energy in myself. We walked to a nearby park, the grass vivid green, children's laughter drifting from a playground. I sat on a bench, Elaine beside me, her silence companionable. A bird took flight nearby, its wings cutting the sky, and I saw it as a sign: freedom hard won, but mine. "This changes everything," I said, my voice low. "She's really gone now." Elaine nodded, her eyes on the kids playing. "Not gone, Paul. Just not your burden anymore. You're taking back your life." Her words were soft, but they carried the strength I needed. I thought of Amelia's voicemails, her threats, and felt no regret, only resolve. "There's more we can do," Elaine said, her tone shifting, cryptic. "William, for instance. I've got some ideas, but we'll need to tread carefully." She didn't elaborate, and I didn't press, trusting her instincts. The park's clock tower chimed noon, its sound clear, a reminder of time moving forward, not back. My phone buzzed, breaking the moment. William's name flashed on the screen, a call, not a text. "Paul, we need to talk," his voice said through voicemail, gruff but urgent. "Meet me at my office tomorrow, 10 a.m. I stared at the phone, the bird's flight now a distant speck. What did Amelia's father-in-law want? The clock in my mind ticked louder, counting down to answers I wasn't sure I was ready for. The sunset painted the Chicago skyline in hues of amber, and rose its glow, barely softening the cold elegance of William's mansion. I stepped through the heavy oak doors, the marble foyer gleaming under a chandelier's light, each prism casting sharp reflections like the truth I carried. Elaine's note tucked in my pocket had summoned me here, William knows. Be ready. My heart thudded, not with fear, but with the weight of justice drawing near. The air smelled of polished wood and wealth, a stark contrast to my modest home. Yet I stood tall, my resolve a shield. The clock in my mind ticked steady, marking the moment Amelia's lies would unravel. William waited in the study, his broad frame rigid behind a mahogany desk. His face, usually stern but fair, was etched with fury, his eyes dark as he gripped a velvet box. Elaine stood nearby, her blazer crisp, her expression calm but alert. Paul Williams said, his voice low, gravelly, "I owe you an apology." He slid the box across the desk, its contents unmistakable, a Rolex, the one Amelia had bought with my $10,000, now a symbol of her betrayal. I didn't touch it, my hands steady at my sides. "You didn't know," I said, my tone even though my pulse raced. "She lied to us both." The words were simple, but they carried years of sacrifice, college tuition, missed dreams, all for a daughter who traded my love for a watch. William's jaw tightened, his fingers trembling as he opened the box. The Rolex gleamed its face, mocking under the study's lights. "She told me it was her gift," he said, his voice cracking with disgust. "Said it was to thank me for my support. I'd never have taken it if I'd known it was yours." His honesty pierced the lavish atmosphere, revealing for the first time not the formidable tycoon, but a man who had faced betrayal much like myself. Elaine moved ahead, her voice clear and deliberate. "Amelia provided an inaccurate account of the funds, William. We possessed the bank statements, her signature, and the jeweler's account. She took Paul's money without his approval." Her words cut deep, revealing the raw pain beneath the surface. She looked my way, a quiet encouragement to hold on. William closed the box with a decisive thud, the noise cutting through the silence. He remarked, his gaze sharpening, "She's been getting too close to my business as well," advocating for a position, subtly suggesting opportunities for investment. I believed it was drive. Now I understand it's all about greed. His confession lingered in the air, a hint of Amelia's intricate plans, yet he chose not to expand, and I refrained from probing further. Not at this moment. I locked eyes with him, my tone resolute. "I have no need for your sympathy, William. I seek what is just." The promise resonated deeply, a commitment not only to him, but also to my own heart, honoring Ellen's memory. He nodded, sliding the box closer to me. "Go ahead," he urged. "It belongs to you, and I will handle Amelia." His tone hinted at repercussions, and I had no doubt he meant it. I hoisted the box, its heft anchoring me, a solid fragment of my self-respect reclaimed. We stepped out of the study, Elaine's hand gently grazing my arm, offering silent reassurance. The evening air outside was refreshingly cool, with the distant hum of the city creating a soothing backdrop. As I sat in my car, I carefully opened the box, the Rolex shimmering softly in the dwindling light. A memory emerged, William, at a family gathering long ago, extolling Amelia's spirit, his pride now in ruins. I gently closed the box, my fingers unwavering. This wasn't merely a watch. It was evidence that I wasn't the simpleton Amelia believed me to be. My phone vibrated, revealing a missed call from Amelia, accompanied by a text that simply read, "We need to talk." The soft light illuminated the interior of the car, her words hanging in the air, like a delicate balance between desperation and deception. I placed the phone aside, the weight of the Rolex box resting in my lap, and turned the key in the ignition. The seconds slipped away in my thoughts, anticipating her next decision. The morning sun bathed the porch of my Chicago suburban home in warmth, its rays glistening on the dew-kissed azaleas, their petals quivering gently in the soft breeze. I stood at the door, my hand resting on the knob, the creak of the floorboards beneath me offering a sense of solace I had come to know well. Amelia's message from last night, the one that said we need to talk, had stayed with me, but I never anticipated her arrival, especially not in this manner. She stood on the porch with Liam, her auburn hair cascading freely, her eyes tinged with red, her typical grace unraveling like an old seam. Liam sat beside her, his posture heavy with unspoken thoughts, eyes downcast as he buried his hands deep in his pockets. Their appearance devoid of arrogance evoked not sympathy, but a profound resilience within me. The rhythm in my thoughts pulsed, unwavering, signaling the conclusion of their grasp. I pushed the door open further, yet remained on the threshold, my arms folded tightly across my chest. "What is it that you desire?" My voice remained steady, resolute, a stark contrast to the father who had once crumbled at the sight of her tears. The porch was infused with the scent of rich earth, and the vibrant flowers stood as a testament to the life I had crafted, free from her deceit. Amelia's lips trembled, her voice faltering. "Father, I beg you, we sincerely apologize. We made a mistake." She grasped her purse tightly, her nails pressing into the leather, a familiar nervous habit that had resurfaced after all these years. "The watch, the money, it was an error in judgment. Let's find a way to set things straight." Her gaze locked onto mine, filled with urgency, yet I could sense the underlying strategy, the glimmer of a yearning abyss. Liam cleared his throat, his voice barely a whisper. "We truly didn't intend to cause you any pain, Paul. Everything spiraled beyond control." He looked at Amelia as though expecting her to take charge, his timidity unmistakable. I recalled the moment at their wedding, where he vowed to support her. Yet those promises now felt empty. I stepped onto the porch, the wood groaning softly beneath me, and rested against the railing, taking in the moment. An error. I spoke, my voice edged, yet measured. "You used $10,000 of my funds to purchase a watch for William. Fabricated information regarding healthcare expenses. Submitted a report to the authorities. That's not an error. That's a decision to be made. My words were deliberate, each one a brick in the fortress I had constructed to shield myself from their influence." Amelia's tears flowed freely, yet they failed to touch my heart. "We've lost everything," she murmured, her voice trembling with emotion. "William is seething with anger. He severed our connection. We really need you, Daddy." The revelation suggested more profound sorrows, her aspirations tied to William's enterprise. Perhaps yet she chose not to expand on it, and I had no desire to pry. I stood tall, my eyes unwavering. "Your decisions have been made. Coexist with them." The words resonated with my previous determination, transforming into a guiding mantra. A vivid memory surfaced: Amelia at the age of 7, eagerly handing me a card, adorned with crayon drawings, her smile radiating innocence. That girl had vanished. Replaced by this unfamiliar figure pleading for forgiveness I was unable to provide. Liam shifted his voice barely above a whisper. "We'll do anything, Paul. Simply say the word." His desperation was disheartening, yet it only steeled my resolve. I turned away, retreating toward the door. "There's nothing more to discuss," I stated, my tone resolute. The door creaked in protest as I nudged it open, marking the divide that lay between us. Amelia's sob trailed behind me, yet I chose not to look back. Within the living room, silence enveloped the space, the halted clock on the mantel standing as a mute observer of my decision. I shut the door, the latch snapping into place, and rested against it, my breathing calm and even. The phone vibrated softly on the coffee table, illuminating the screen with Elaine's name. I replied, her tone cheerful. "Hey, Paul, do you have a moment to take a stroll midday at the park? It's time for us to discuss the last step." Her words held a sense of hope, suggesting the possibility of something greater on the horizon. I looked at the shut door, the porch now deserted, and sensed the ticking clock in my mind, counting down to a future I was eager to embrace. The park buzzed with the energy of late May, the Chicago air fragrant with blooming lilacs, and the scent of freshly cut grass. I strolled alongside Elaine, the gravel path crackling beneath our feet, the sun gently warming my face. In my pocket, a check from the jeweler who purchased the Rolex, $9,800, After fees, a total I had already resolved to donate. The burden of Amelia's betrayal, which once felt like a heavy stone in my chest, had finally lifted, giving way to a serene sense of liberation. Children's laughter danced on the swings, their voices weaving a tapestry of hope, and I sensed it as well, a fresh start challenging, yet undeniably my own. The clock in my mind ticked gently now, marking time not in reverse but in a hopeful progression. Elaine nudged my shoulder, a playful sparkle dancing in her eyes. With that kind of money, Paul, you could have easily purchased a yacht. Or perhaps a stylish timepiece just for you. Her tone was playful and teasing, yet her smile radiated a sense of pride. She had stood by my side through every moment, navigating bank forms, visiting police stations, dealing with the will. And now in this moment, her friendship felt like a precious, unexpected blessing. I let out a light laugh, the sound effortless. I opted for tranquility instead. I remarked gently, tapping the coin in my pocket. A children's refuge in the heart of the city. They will achieve far more with it than I ever could. The choice felt instinctive, a means to transform Amelia's treachery into a positive outcome. Elaine nodded, a gentle warmth spreading across her face. Excellent decision, she remarked, nudging a small stone with her foot. I'm eagerly anticipating a coffee date when you're in the mood to treat yourself. Her playful wink elicited a chuckle from me, and I sensed a warmth that transcended the sun's rays, perhaps a flicker of something deeper, though we left it unspoken. We arrived at the lake, its surface glistening brilliantly in the midday sun. I picked up a smooth stone, sending it gliding over the surface of the water, the ripples radiating out in flawless circles. A memory emerged, strolling alongside Ellen. Her hand clasped in mine, vowing that we would confront the world side by side. I had lost her then, Amelia, but now I was discovering who I truly was. The echoes subsided, yet their influence remained much like the decisions I had taken. Earlier, I had stopped by the shelter's office, a humble place with worn walls and dedicated staff members. The director, a woman with warm, compassionate eyes, accepted the check, her appreciation deeply moving. "This will change lives, Mr. Thompson," she had said, and I nodded, feeling a tightness in my throat. The watch, once a mark of deceit, had transformed into a connection to a brighter future. Elaine paused at a bench, her eyes drawn to the shimmering lake. "You've really made progress, you know," she said, her voice softer now. "From humble beginnings to this moment. Not too shabby for someone who believed he had lost it all." Her words settled softly, echoing the man I once was and the one I was evolving into. I settled next to her, the bench radiating warmth from the sun's embrace. "I couldn't have achieved this without you," I remarked, locking my gaze with hers. "You offered me a chance to stand my ground." The reality was straightforward, yet deeply meaningful. She recognized my value even when I couldn't see it myself. A gentle wind rustled the leaves, bringing with it the fragrance of spring, and I sensed Ellen's spirit, her silent encouragement, surrounding me. Elaine smiled softly, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Stay by my side, Paul. I'm considering a new endeavor, perhaps a community fund. A person like you with such a big heart is truly needed." Her offer was ambiguous, a threshold slightly open, and I was drawn to the enigma of it, the allure of an unwritten future. I flung another stone, observing the ripples dance across the surface. The park buzzed with energy, and I felt a sense of belonging, free at last, from Amelia's deceptions and my lingering uncertainties. Elaine stood extending her hand, and I grasped it, her touch enveloping me in warmth and assurance. We continued our stroll, her laughter dancing with the wind, and I felt a sense of readiness for whatever lay ahead. The gentle ticking of time in my thoughts resonated with a melody of aspiration, leading me toward a life I had rightfully claimed.